8 reasons why Japanese men are becoming herbivores. There are a lot of things that can be associated with Japan. For starters, people know that this country is one of the most technologically advanced in the world, as many of today's technological advancements were either invented or developed there. Proof of this are the abundance of vending machines and the presence of robots, both of which Japan is famous for. Food is another thing. One cannot go through life without tasting a Japanese dish at least once in his or her lifetime. And of course, cherry blossoms and Mount Fuji shouldn't be left out. Japan is also widely known as one of the quirkiest countries in the world. There are plenty of things or even behaviors that other people might find weird, but is considered to be completely normal in Japan. Where else can you find people who enjoy dressing up in very colorful and mismatching outfits, or in clothes that make them look like dolls, referred to as lolitas, as well as otakus, or people who enjoy watching anime or shows that others might consider cartoons, and collect stuff related to video games, which basically a huge part of their lives revolving around those. Therefore, it should come as no surprise that there are many Japanese men who are choosing to live as bachelors, avoiding getting into relationships, despite the fact that the country is having an aging crisis and the government is taking measures for people to create families. Choosing to be a herbivore is becoming a widespread among Japanese men. Contrary to what one might think, herbivores in Japan do not necessarily refer to those who choose to eat greens over meat. The Japanese use the term herbivore, or sochuku danchi, to refer to those men who are indifferent to being in a relationship or starting a family of their own, which is the opposite of bachelors who refuse to get married or be in a relationship but enjoy the company of women romantically. They may also have a lack of interest in office work. These men have plenty of reasons for choosing to become herbivores, and some of these common reasons are as follows. Number 1. Disinterest in the macho image. Unlike most men, the Japanese herbivores do not exert themselves to adhere to the image of a macho man or alpha male. For the Japanese, men do not have to be big and muscular who look like they can lift a truck with their hands to be considered a real man. Men can be that, but they can also be thin and act effeminate, but still be a real man. Number 2. The period of peace after the war changed the stereotype of what a Japanese man should be. It is known that Japan was a key player during World War II, and at that time a real man had to be a soldier. After the war, the period of peace made men realize that one does not need to be a soldier to be considered a man. He can now defy that stereotype. Number 3. Economic factors made them dislike the idea of corporate work. In a stereotypical Japanese household, the man of the house wears a suit and works in a corporate setting for most of the day. Afterwards, he typically goes out to drink with his male coworkers. Then he goes home to his family, either sober or drunk. This is his routine, and this kind of living is not what many men want for themselves. So they would rather have odd jobs. Number 4. Their interest lies in other things. Most otakus can be considered herbivores since their interests lie in anime, and they find the idea of cyber relationships much more pleasing than actual relationships. However, not all herbivores are otakus. Some herbivores are interested in other things like traveling, taking photos, gardening, and even home improvement activities. Number 5. They prefer to live quiet and less busy lives. Herbivores tend to veer away from noise and prefer domestication. This is why they would rather stay at home or be engaged in activities that do not require too much from them. They also prefer more intellectually stimulating activities over physically demanding ones. Number 6. Communicating with potential partners is a challenge for them. Not all herbivores actively shun female companionship. Some actually remain single because they have a hard time communicating with women. They feel awkward when meeting women and getting to know them as potential romantic partners, so they would just rather shy away from interacting with them. Number 7. Resentment to the older generation's lifestyles made them go in the opposite direction. Typically, Japanese men used to be too career-oriented or focused on earning money that they tend to neglect other important things, most often their families, and especially their wives. They used to believe that women should focus on household chores, and that mindset is not what herbivores accept. They see women as equals, and know that time spent with friends and families is also important, just like earning a living. Number 8. They are known to be sensitive and do not like to take risks when it comes to relationships. Nobody likes to get hurt when emotions are involved, and this also applies to herbivores. They know that getting into relationships or even getting married will not always guarantee them happy lives, and there is always the risk of getting hurt, so they would rather not take that risk. They'd rather just be friends with them, and many herbivores actually have close female friends. Herbivores may not be what a stereotypical male is, but for many in Japan, they are becoming more and more common. This phenomenon just illustrates the fact that what is considered by some to be normal may be viewed differently by others, and vice versa. For these herbivores, it doesn't really matter what others, especially foreigners, think of them. What's important is that they live their lives the way they want. Maybe we can learn something from them.